Good evening, ballers. Welcome to the 13th episode of a Stepback. Here, my main man, Jacob Moses, and we welcome in our special guests from the Audible Football Life, the other half, duo, Matt Bushnell. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm the better half of the Audible, but, we got to throw Randy some love occasionally.
Oh no, we love Randy, man. He's been on a few times and he knows his stuff. And love what you guys do over there in Football Life, man.
Absolutely, let's kill it. Keep it going.
Yeah, just a long family of life podcast groups, man. It's been a pleasure doing it and watching all of these grow. So it's an honor for me to be on this one. I don't usually get associated with great basketball knowledge, but I'm going to bring something to the table tonight.
Oh, man. So tonight we are going to talk about celebrate 80th week. I'm going to get Matt's thoughts on the documentary, players, and touch a little bit on the return of the NBA. Yeah, I'm excited about that. That's a nice shirt you got there, Jacob.
Thank you. It's priceless. Melon is priceless now. Well, we'll get into that yet, but no. But thank you.
Yeah, man. So last week we hit on the 90s, touched on a few players, Grant Hill and Charles Barkley, touched on the 96. This week we're going to touch on the 80s. Matt, we know you're hugely associated with football, but who's been your favorite basketball player coming along?
I loved watching. So for historical context, growing up, we had cable, ESPN Classic, and during the summer we didn't have a whole lot to do. It was either play basketball, didn't have enough guys for baseball, didn't have enough guys for football. So when we weren't playing basketball, we just watch ESPN Classic, and it was always NBA Finals time. So they always played back those 80 era games. I remember the 4 Sixers with Moses Malone, Maurice Cheeks, Dr. J. Some of those Boston Celtic teams with McHale, Parrish, Dennis Johnson, Bird, of course, the Lakers with Magic, Worthy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Most unstoppable shot I've ever seen in basketball. I still haven't seen anyone duplicate or even come close to making a shot as consistently as Jabbar made that sky hook. Even Bill Walton with those Celtics teams. It's just, I love the 80s for a lot of different reasons. The most important reason was 1984, number 3 overall pick, Michael Jordan, the torturer of franchises in the 90s, brought Chicago to prominence where it belongs. So obviously Jordan's my favorite player of all time. You can pick the 80s or 90s, whichever one you want.
And Jacob is hurting because he just can't get enough of it.
Oh man, too much going on in America. Now I gotta hear about this again. Yeah, we could do nothing but bow down to his greatness. As a Knicks fan, it was great watching him, unless he played the Knicks, because as I've stated before, all he did was kick the Knicks' ass. I can't even remember him having a bad game against the Knicks. Even when he came back wearing those tight ass shoes, 55. Like what? Really? You couldn't take a break? I mean, just give us a check. Well, we almost won that game, but anyway. But still,
Jacob,
yeah.
If he was playing in the Garden, it was over immediately. You just knew it was done.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was. Man, I had 2 good years. I was like, damn, he's gone. Hell yeah, we're gonna see him no more. I'm back. Oh shit. What the hell are we gonna do now, man? But yeah, I just gotta give it up to Mike. He's the GOAT. Give him that. But he definitely did kick our ass.
Yeah, I find it interesting too because when we talk about the 80s, I think a lot of those players get forgotten. Moses Malone was fantastic, especially in his prime. One of the first players to come out of high school. And, I mean, he was a man when he came out of high school, a lot like LeBron James. Obviously, LeBron's a lot better. He's a lot more gifted passer than Moses was, but Moses just made a big difference. Dr. J, I never feel gets the respect that he should get.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to turn this on you guys and ask you guys a couple of questions too.
All right.
Who is the best player you saw in the 80s?
Whew. That's past my generation. I'm an 86 kid, but from the 80s, I got to go MJ when you think. I mean, technically, from the 80s, the best player I've seen definitely was Jordan. You know, we had Hakeem. We had my man Pat. Yeah, it's just so many guys out. I mean, Bird, you know, we called him at the end of his career, so you're just like, Magic, same thing. I mean, but it got to be MJ because he was basically in his prime when we were growing up. So it definitely got to be MJ.
Yeah, so my favorite player was Magic growing up, but I like Jacob, I caught him at the tail end. So I watched a lot of his stuff going back, and he was a wizard with the ball. He can do anything. I mean, his shooting wasn't that great, but what he did with the ball and just made other people better, that was just my thing. I just wanted to play like Magic.
Absolutely. I was gonna say Ewing, but you know that's just me being biased. But Ewing was that guy. You talk about dominant big man. He did everything well on the floor. Defended. He had a nice little mid-range game. You know, right at the foul line. He was the heart of the Knicks. You know, the ball, freaking yeah, damn right they tanked. I will gladly say it. I don't care. It changed our history for the most part, but he was great. And I mean, just seeing Pat, you know, we won a big game. It's like he was giving the Garden a big hug and put his arms out like that. I mean, he had it live in the '90s. I give him that. But he's one of the 50 greatest players. You gotta love it. Coming out of Georgetown, playing for the Knicks. We haven't seen one since.
Yeah, I love Ewing's game too. I know he catches a lot of grief, and you know that Pippen poster hurts when you see it. But looking back at the '80s, and I think I briefly talked to you guys about this. I'm not sure. We talk about LeBron going back in the '80s, and he'd be fine. You know, I'm not even worried about LeBron. I think the one great player from the '90s/2000s that would suffer the most is Shaq, because we're talking Walton, Hakeem, Kareem, David Robinson in his prime, Ewing in his prime. I mean, a lot of young, great big men. And Shaq would have still been great. I don't know if he would have been as great or as dominant. You know, it wasn't like you had a bunch of Rick Smiths out there or Greg Ostertags or Brad Millers.
I mean, Rick Smith gave him trouble, so.
That is true. I mean, I do like the Duncan Dutchman.
No, he was great. He killed everybody in the East, man. As I know, he had that nice little. His form was really good though. He had that nice little. He get you on the elbow, or he'll get you on a baseline jumper. He leave it up there. I'm like, wow, this guy is really. He wasn't the most fleet of foot. He reminded me of a Jokic. That's exactly who he reminds me of. Have a nice little touch. And he's crafty. But I mean, that's another one. That's a good one. I like that, man. Rick Smith. Shout out to Marish. Shout out to you, Randy.
It's funny you mentioned Shaq in that light because, you know, he was good defensively, but he struggled when he had to leave. And a lot of those guys in the '80s, you know, they had the mid-range touch, you could step out a bit. Keem, Patrick, David Robinson. So I tend to agree with you. He had to make him work on both ends. That's pretty good.
I think what separates Shaq, and you know, obviously he physically dominant, but we saw what Hakeem did to him in the finals. I mean, Hakeem just took him to school every game. Obviously, with the Lakers, Shaq had Kobe when he won his championships, and then Dwayne Wade. So I don't want to say that Shaq wouldn't have been great. You know, I don't want to say that at all because I think he would have been. But just the skill set of those centers in the 80s was so vastly different than the skill set of the centers that we see today. We saw the centers with the 80s with more touch. Obviously, they weren't stretching out to the three-point line like stretch fours we see, and now we see small ball lineups. But the centers, once they got you in the post, I think I read something like Hakeem had close to 4 or 5 different moves depending on where he had you on the block.
Yes.
I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah, you can't defend it.
No, you can't. You don't even see that. If you even get like a hook shot out of one of these big men these days, you're just like, oh, okay. But the dream shake, he had a little fall away shot too. If you remember, he will shake this way, he'll go back. I mean, man, he was something else. But another one that gets overlooked because I think we saw him later in his career, Robert Parrish. He was really good. Like looking at his numbers, he was a beast. I'd give him that. And he just rebounded well. He had a nice little touch around the rim. Nice little. I didn't see him like mid range. I can't call it mid range. 8 to 9 feet. But still, he was another good one. There's a lot of underrated players that you look back and you're like, wow, he was good. Ronald Blackman, that's the one. Alex English, we watched the game. I mean, there's obviously Bill Laimbeer wasn't like the best offensive player, but he did everything out on the floor besides that. But it's a lot of underrated players. I say the 80s, decade-wise, with basketball, it's hard to beat.
Just the collection of talent you would get. And I think we see a lot of small ball lineups now, and even size, we talk about size. And I'm glad you brought it up, Jacob. Those Celtic teams were huge. I mean, Parrish was 7 foot, Walton 7 foot, McHale was 6'10", 6'11", Bird 6'7", 6'8". I mean, Dennis Johnson wasn't short either. I think Dennis Johnson 6'5"-ish.
Yeah, he's 6'5". Gerald Henderson too. He was another one. He wasn't small. They had some size.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Hakeem, and I didn't realize that Moses Malone taught Hakeem all the moves. So that's something to the whole. And Kevin McHale, like you could compare him to KD, and a lot of a role players from the 80s. All of them had mid-range shots. I mean, that was just the mid-range game. That's just how it went. The three-point line seemed like a non-existent, but Orlando Blackman, Alex English, that you mentioned, Joe Dumars. I'm forgetting a few, but I'm pretty sure they'll come to me in a moment.
Vinny Johnson?
Yeah, Vinny Johnson, microwave. These guys were offensively gifted.
Bernard King.
There you go. Bernard King. Michael Ray Richards.
Daryl Dawkins.
Yes, sir.
Guys put up 50 on a given night. And look at Larry Bird. He made it look easy. And these guys want like another status. Magic and Larry. And then there's everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
When they're constantly always in the finals, playing for the title, I mean, how can it not be Larry and Magic? I mean, you just talk about just such a dynamic pairing, even when they played at Michigan State and Indiana State. Those two, even now, still are almost like brothers. They call each other a lot, and you saw that magic on the court between those two. Like, they were brothers, but they wanted to beat each other like brothers. I hated losing to my brother in anything. So I can only imagine how it was at like at the NBA Finals. You're going against one of your best friends in all the NBA, and you want to win. You're so competitive. I cannot lose to this guy.
Yeah, it's not like J.R. Smith giving a dap on the sideline during the play during the game. So it was friendly competition. No. But it was, it was expected. It's not like, lovey-dovey. They went out there to beat you, and you could take a look at that the difference in the All-Star game. We took a look at the 87 All-Star game, and which actually went into overtime. They played defense throughout. Barkley out there throwing elbows. Moses Malone had a tip in to go in overtime. I think the West won by 10, if I'm not mistaken. But they played hard throughout the game, and you look throughout the years, and the All-Star game progressed because they became friendly, and it's just, guys don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
But those 80s games were pretty good, and it was the dunk contest. That was nice.
Yeah, and I think an interesting thing that I saw, and I feel for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in this era a little bit as well. He played with Oscar Robertson when Oscar was at the end of his career. He had 4 years with Oscar in Milwaukee. And then as Kareem's aging, and I guess it's to the benefit of Kareem where he got to win more titles with a very talented Magic Johnson. But I just wonder, Kareem with a prime Oscar or a prime Magic, or I'm sorry, Kareem in his prime with Magic, not a prime Magic. Magic was in his prime when he came into the league. Fantastic. So Kareem's one of the more interesting players you'll see, I think, in the history of the NBA. Just the longevity and his ability to just know where everything's going on the court. And I'm not sure if you guys talked about, well, I'm sorry, you guys did talk about the the Bulls documentary. And when Rodman spoke, when I always played basketball, I mean, I didn't have a really good outside shot. I had no handles, but I could rebound. I just wanted to rebound all the time. Just stick me down in the post. I'll put it back up occasionally. But hearing Rodman talk about rebounding just got my, brought those memories back and those juices flowing, like how he would study shooters and where the ball would deflect off the rim. I mean, that's next level stuff right there for an NBA. To hear that from an NBA player, I know they do it, but to actually hear it, that's pretty special in my book.
Sure, it was an art.
Yeah, I also found that real interesting because I modeled my game after Magic, Hakeem, and Rodman. I tried Magic's playmaking ability. I tried Hakeem's low post move, and I tried to use Rodman's ability to study rebounds. Try to position, study angles, all that whole deal. So you mentioned Rodman and the Pistons. Isaiah Thomas. The more I watch him, the more I really get amazed at how good he really was.
Oh yeah.
Speed, shooting, playmaking ability, all of it. I mean, I can't go on.
I mean, he was Derrick Rose with the jump shot.
There you go. Yeah, he definitely was a blur. I mean, he's tough as nails. I mean, it's just him trying to play it when he tore his Achilles, I believe. They were trying to play on it. I mean, he had an edge about him. When he stepped on that court, it was just, like I said, amazing to see. I think Kyrie should change his number. Should be allowed to wear 11 after watching Isaiah play. But like Leon said, jumper, quick, extremely quick. Just watching that Nuggets game, that right there, just how quick he was able to get to the rim. Thomas dribbles down the court, whoop, score. And I'm going, whoa, damn, I didn't realize he was that freaking quick. And playing in the land of the big men, especially in the East at that time, man, unbelievable.
Yeah, those Cavs teams, Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance. I mean, they were rebounding kings. I mean, they were big guys. So they're real impressive. And we didn't even get into Dominique. And I didn't know he tore his ACL, I think. Missed a year, came back and jumped higher. Which I have high hopes for KD now.
KD doesn't need to jump. Look at his jump. He's good. Look at his jumper as it is. He hardly gets off the ground. He's money. But yeah, Dominique was another one. You talk about just thunderous. He got explosive. Just anything with some kind of just bomb in it. He would dunk the ball. It sounded like it hurt. I mean, if you would get dunked on, it would just, man, See, that's what I said, man. You're lucky though. You saw some of it, or some of the '80s, and that's that glorious time right there. You caught a lot of dudes like in their prime, in their heyday. Just man, I definitely give you props for that. That's oh man, I wish.
Well, I remember, so I grew up born in 82, so not that much older, but, just sports was always on in my house, and I don't know when the NBA Finals came off tape delay. I know it was in the 80s at some point, and I'm pretty sure it was the first finals with Magic and Bird, because obviously you cannot have that on tape delay. That's primetime viewing right there. But you talk about this era of even the drafts. You take a look at the drafts. Karl Malone, Clyde Drexler, Ewing, Jordan, even Hakeem, Barkley. Yeah, like all this talent. And, I mean, even Stockton was drafted in the 80s, and Stockton's one of the best point guards to ever play. Reggie Miller. I'm not sure what year Miller was drafted.
I think it was 87.
Yeah.
And David Robinson. I think that might have been the David Robinson draft as well, 87 or 88. But all these great young players are starting to come in the league, and you hear about them in college, and you know who's coming. I don't want to say it takes away the mystique with the one and done rule in college, but when these guys were coming into the NBA, you knew these kids. And you kind of knew what you were going to get. Those Georgetown teams with Alonzo Mourning, when he was coming up, Alonzo was so good too. We talk about another talented big man. But the 80s were fantastic for talent. It was really, the 90s may have where it all came to a head championship-wise. But I would argue anybody to say that the 80s wasn't the best performance on court of basketball of all time. I mean, the collection of talent, young kids in their primes flying. So I loved it.
And looking back on it, college was really good too. Looking back on some of the tapes, it's just, wow, man. It's, and that's when the Big East, one of my friends, Chris Borman, he always said, when the Big East back then, that was must-see TV. Georgetown, St. John's, Syracuse was decent. I mean,
Seton Hall, yeah.
Seton Hall, yep. Anybody can win it.
Yeah, man. You take a look at the era too. I think that was the end of the Pac-10, coming out of the UCLA era. And the Big East just exploded. It really did become the mecca of basketball, college basketball. The players that you saw come out of there was just fantastic.
Yeah, and you mentioned Len Bias. It's unfortunate passing. Rumored to be better than Jordan. I mean, of course, we'll never know, but this goes to show, again, the college talent in the 80s was just surreal.
Yeah, the thing about bias, and I'm going to show my bias for Jordan here, but no pun, but Len was so good, so fast. He had every tool that we talk about baseball with 5 tools. I mean, Len Bias could do anything on the court that he desired at any point in time. I never felt like Michael could do everything on the court. Obviously, he was an elite defender, elite scorer. Probably not the best passer in the league at any point. I don't think he could have passed the ball probably as well as Bias. But, man, Bias had those demons. I mean, when Jordan says he didn't do coke, I believe the man. If Bias said he didn't do coke, I'd be like, yeah, bullshit.
You might be the only one who believed him.
If God says he doesn't do something, I'm going to take God's word for it.
What was your thoughts on the documentary as a whole?
That's a good question. The Jordan mark that I am, I loved it. Seeing the competitive nature. I think that's the thing I relate to the most is just how competitive you have to be to win. Like, what are you doing at all costs to win? I remember when Jordan broke his foot. I maybe 3-4 years old at that time, and Jordan was going to kill somebody if he didn't get on the court. I honestly believe Jordan would eat his own kids if it meant that he could win another championship. He's just wired, basically a sociopath. So was it a Jordan puff piece? Absolutely, it was a puff piece for Jordan. I mean, he's not doing it unless he's going to come out looking good.
Mhm.
Some people get their feathers ruffled about Pippen. Pippen did those things. So I don't understand how you can be so upset. You're the one that decided that you didn't want to come back into the game. They didn't talk about the DUI. They didn't talk about the unregistered weapon that he was traveling with. I mean, they could have gone a lot deeper into some of Pippen's demons, and they kind of left those alone. I thought the episode on Phil was excellent. I can't get enough of Phil Jackson. I think being able to handle all those personalities, it would take years off my life. You talk about raising kids, making me bald. Man, I don't think I'd be alive if I had to coach Rodman, Jordan, Pippen, and then Kobe and Shaq. I mean, you talk about a collection of just competitive alpha males. I mean, that had to be brutal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We all know what Phil was about to. All that kumbaya. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, man, I'd be smoking one every day.
But yeah, he did his thing when it came to them. Man.
You also mentioned the 83 Sixers. Is that your favorite team of all time?
As a pure basketball fan, yes. It was the most fun team I've ever seen. I mean, they had personality. Dr. J had those Converse. I mean, those Converse were unbelievable. Everyone wanted a pair. So how could you not love Dr. J and those Converse, you know, thinking that you can dunk like Dr. J? Before everyone thought they could dunk like Michael, people thought they could dunk like Dr. J. You know, Moses Malone with all the post moves. I mean, Maurice Cheeks. That was just a fun team, man. Just really good. I wish they would have won titles.
Yeah, to go through the Eastern Conference like they did and then just dismantle the Lakers, it was real impressive.
It was not an easy road. You're talking about having to beat those Celtics teams. I think 83 might have been Pete Maravich's last year with the Celtics. And I mean, obviously, Pete's remembered for his days, I believe, in New Orleans, Pistol Pete. But I was kind of surprised that he finished his career with the Celtics. I mean, I couldn't even imagine what it was like for those Sixers teams to have to go through a young, up-and-coming Detroit team. Who I think, did they win another title in the early 80s? I thought they may have won one in earlier. No? Okay. So I'm misremembering my 80s a little bit. But, yeah, you just had a lot of tough roads. And I believe it was two divisions. I remember looking up the numbers in 1980. Boston was the number one seed in the East. They won 61 games. And then the other team, I believe, was Atlanta in the other division, and they won 50. The Sixers were the 3 seed, and they won 59 games.
Good Lord.
It was top heavy. And a lot of those other teams, you know, you mentioned with the role players, Mark Aguirre and Adrian Dantley with the Jazz. I didn't know he won 2 or 3 scoring titles. I mean, the man could score.
You know, Jordan had to shut that down.
The idea that they could put up 120, 130 points consistently without ever attempting a 3, it is weird. You know, considering how we watch today's game, you look at the shot chart in the 80s game, it's baseline, foul line jumper, and a layup. You know, like everybody was scared to dunk the ball. Unless you're Dr. J.
Yeah. Dr. J has to dunk the ball. The 18-footer is always the most interesting shot in basketball to me. Tim Duncan really brought it back when he was playing. I just always find how bad at math people must have been at the 80s. When they had the three-point line, it's like, man, three's more than two. So everyone's like, no, don't take that three-point shot. It's a terrible shot. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm telling Larry, I mean, you got a three, shoot it whenever you want, man.
I mean, yeah, what are we going to tell you? We put Larry Bird on the bench.
But yeah, you just make 3 passes, baseline. If you get a shot, if you get anything under the rim, you take it. But that's when I played. I love mid-range. You know, no, you caught me by the foul line, I'm hitting it like half of the time. It was just, that's why I liked it. I hated three-point shot. I hated it. I didn't have the range to do it, but put me in that little area. But yeah, the mid-range is definitely, it was great. And then not a lot of players do it anymore. Won't see it. I think it's like a disease kind of. I don't know why. But you know who, like somebody today, maybe Bradley Beal, he's one of them. That has a nice mid-range, but he'd rather shoot a lot of threes per game or try to get to the rim, but his mid-range would be really good if he took more of them. But Alice English, that was one that I loved his mid-range game. His form was weird, like Leon said. It was like a Kevin Martin kind of deal. The form was...
Yeah, it's all kind of funky. It's like to the side. Yeah.
But, I mean, it went in consistently. And need to bring that back.
Yeah, I find it interesting how the coaches will look at it when it does get brought back. You know, Steve Kerr really just takes advantage of his guys that can shoot threes with Curry. Let me ask you guys this: Curry or Miller?
Man, it's not me being biased, not me hating Reggie. I'm gonna go with Curry because at the clip he can shoot it at. Like Reggie was good too, but Curry's just on another level. I mean, he's basically right behind Ray Allen right now, and like, gotta look at that. That's big. Reggie, like I said, he was a killer. You know, the whole was 8 points and whatever the hell he did. It still pisses me off. But he was nice. He didn't have the prettiest, like I said, he didn't have the prettiest form, but it was amazing to watch him shoot. But I gotta go with Curry. I can't doubt that guy. It's Curry for me.
Yeah, me too. I'm actually gonna have to go Curry. I have it as Curry, Ray, Reggie, only because Curry's range and his ability to shoot up in trouble. Reggie is the second best catch and shoot guy I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Ray is the first, but you know Ray had the quick.
Oh yeah.
Although Reggie can shoot off a curl like no other. So.
Like I said, like I always said about Steph, all Daddy taught was jumpers.
I mean, when you're 5'11", I mean, what else can you do?
Man, Dell was no slouch either, man.
Dell was fantastic. Love watching Dell with the Hornets. I think if I were to give my all-time shooters, obviously I saw Bird pre-back injury. Bird was such a fantastic shooter. I mean, you talk about catch and shoot, he could get it off really quick. Miller, I remember so many buzzer beaters by Reggie. It always just kills you. That was the one guy, every time the Bulls played them, I didn't want to see him shooting the ball with, 3 seconds left. Don't let Reggie get the ball. But with Ray and Steph, Ray may be the best pure form shooter I've ever seen in my life.
Easily.
Like, if you're teaching someone how to shoot a jump shot, just put on clips of Ray Allen all day. Like, that's how you need to shoot. Steph, probably the best pure shooter I've ever seen. And that, it hurts to say that over guys like Reggie and Larry, but I mean, you just watch Steph. Anywhere on the court, once he gets past the half-court line, he's a threat. You can't give him 3 feet. You can't give him 2 feet.
Yeah, I mean, it's rare to have someone, when they say in the gym range, he is in the gym range. So, I remember that game winner he hit against Oklahoma City in
Oh
half
man,
court. Probably the best game winner I've seen since. Well, Dame Lillard was the second one when he knocked him out. When he knocked out Thunder in the playoffs. But
Mhm.
Curry is just out of this world.
Yeah, I do think if Curry went back into the 80s, he would definitely be the one that struggles a lot in the 80s. I think the hand checking would definitely mess up his rhythm a little bit.
Mhm.
I also feel you have guys like Ron Harper and Isaiah Thomas was not a slouch at all defensively.
Nope.
And I would imagine that if the Celtics were going to play the Warriors with Steph Curry, Dennis Johnson's going to be stuck on Curry, which is going to be hard for Curry to shoot over that big frame. I don't know. I would find it interesting to see if Curry could adapt his game to the 80s. You know, I'm sure if he's playing for Chuck Daly and he's chucking up threes, he won't be on the court too long.
Ron Harper's going to check him, or better yet, Craig Elo.
Oh, I saw Craig come in and what? They're like, Mike, oh, come on, man. Yeah, he wasn't going to do anything either. Let's be real. Ron, you were a good defensive player, but Jordan would have got your ass too.
No, man, it doesn't matter what their names were. It could have been Gary Payton, Sean Payton, Craig Elo, Craig Hodges. Doesn't matter. Craig Krenzel, old Bears quarterback. Doesn't matter. Jordan was going to score on anybody.
Oh man, that's definitely was. Damn, that dude was a killer. But another that was good. I like that. But the preparation for a lot of these shooters, though, like Ray Allen, he was the one, like you said, with his form is just perfect. But his getting into the gym, what was it, 500 to 1,000 shots to every gym, like when you're on be dead and you talk about reps, and he would not leave the gym until he got his reps. And just that guy, I don't know, that's one person I can watch shoot all day. Give him the ball. Especially when it's open, you knew it was going in. It's, man. And people forget, though, he was athletic, too, when he was in Milwaukee.
Fantastic.
He just stabbed it just like with the Heat. When he freaking got the rebound, he was wide open. And everybody, oh, shit. You know that's going in. But, yeah, Ray was, damn.
I mean, imagine if Seattle, just playing revisionist history here, if they would have kept Ray Allen. Let's say they still get Westbrook, they still get Durant, they're still young, but man, you're talking about an older veteran Ray Allen who can really stretch the floor, give Westbrook another option to pass it to, and along with Durant's just lethalness wherever he's at on the court. You're talking about
Lewis. Don't forget about Rashard Lewis.
No,
that was another shooter he had on that damn team.
I mean, that's a title team, in my opinion. I don't know how they lose.
You can't defend that. With Westbrook's quickness, Ray could spot up, KD can hit you, Rashard was another one. I mean, damn. Everybody can shoot.
I'll tell you what will happen. It will happen the same way it happened the first time. Somebody's going to complain about the number of shots. Westbrook's going to take too many. And I just think Ray Allen is too good of a shooter not to give him the ball. And Westbrook is probably just going to do what he does now and just go crazy.
All right, man, I got to ask you this question. As a Jordan fan.
Okay, all right, I'm ready.
How would he do? How would he do in today's game? How many would he score a game?
It'd be anywhere between 36 and 38. Probably 10 rebounds, 4 assists per game. Well, hold on. Let me preface this. Are we talking like 88, 89 Jordan? Or are we talking like 96, 97 Jordan?
Let's do 88, 89. Because 96.
Yeah, he's putting up 45 a game.
You know how many times he going to the line?
Yeah, dude, hey, none of his teammates are touching the ball.
But yeah, that's actually fair. I can see him just going crazy.
Oh man, with the up-tempo style that these coaches are now playing, I mean, he played that with Doug Collins, and when Phil came on, like he was like, all right, we kind of need to scale this back a little bit for, you can't argue with Phil Jackson's resume now. At the time, Jordan probably hated it. Like, dude, why are you taking the ball out of my hands? But, in today's game, and Jordan gets a bad rap for three-point shooting. No one can tell me. We talk about Ray Allen spending, 1,000, 1,500 shots in the gym, chucking that up. Jordan would have did 5,000, 10,000 shots in the gym to hone his three-point game.
But yeah, he got better at the end of his career. Like towards the end of his career, he got better.
I think he was good. He just didn't need to do it.
Yeah, he could step in and hit that mid-range all day. Why would you need to? I wouldn't shoot threes either if I could shoot like him. I'm gonna come in and with a fadeaway, an elbow from the top. Doesn't matter.
And then I think the way they were set up, he never had to spot up in the 3-point line. So in that triangle set, he's either in the post or he's at the foul line. No need to. That's what you got Steve Kerr for.
Sure.
I mean, Steve may be the greatest three-point shooter of that decade. If Jordan cared more about threes, we know it would be Jordan. But with the Jordan love, I do have to say, when you read more about the person, I think that really matters a lot with what's going on in today's climate as well. Jordan was a shitty human being. I mean, just how you treat your teammates. I get the competitive urge and how he thought he had to mold those guys, but it's like, really, man, you could have been more compassionate. You could have been a little bit more understanding. I forget who he wanted in a trade, but he wanted to trade, I think, maybe it was Pippen before they started winning all these titles. But we saw Jordan, the GM with the Wizards, was atrocious. And, the Bobcats are they the Hornets again now?
Yeah, Hornets.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They trash.
Yeah. They don't have anything we need to care about. So, I mean, if Jordan would have had the influence that LeBron has on, like, the Lakers, and even he had on the Cavs, Jordan's not winning any titles. I mean, he's a terrible judge of talent.
Mm-hmm. Got it, man. It's a good point.
It's funny you mentioned that. I mean, he let Kemba walk. Probably the best player, Charlotte's had in about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mention him as a human being. So this week, with all the events going on, he actually made a statement which actually showed a bit of his compassionate side, so which is nice because, as you mentioned, through the years, seemed to be out of touch and just, cared about numero uno. It's nice to see someone of his stature finally come out and, make a statement for, what's going on.
Mm-hmm. More than Dolan.
Oh, my God. Jake, I feel sorry. I don't know how you guys are ever going to get a free agent.
Never. You got to pray to God we get somebody drafted and they hopefully stay. I'm surprised RJ was like, listen, get me the hell out of here. He's so used to winning at Duke and he comes here and he's just like, but yeah, I just don't. I'm sorry. Make a statement. Knowing once again, using your platform. You are the owner of the most profitable team in the NBA. Say something. This was your chance to go, you know what? We do stand behind this, not the riot and the looting, but we are together as a people. Make a statement. Don't make no half-ass statement and then have Steve Stout or whoever the hell come back around and then make this. Come on, that statement was lame. I just cut it out. Once again, I'm gonna do it, Uncle Joey. Cut it out. But anyway, just get it out of here. Oh God, man, that pissed me off. Like seriously, it really pissed me off. For him to do that, he set us back probably another 5 to 10 years.
I mean, I can't understand how people fail at this time after time again. It's not hard. you know, obviously you want it to be genuine. You want it to be heartfelt. You want it to actually have some meaning. And for these people to keep on coming out and failing time after time after time again, it's not that hard. Just saying, you know, we support our team, we support our community, we're aware of the events that are ongoing, and we're heartbroken by what is occurring, and we pledge to do something, whatever it is. You know, for a guy like Dolan, it's not much. He inherited, he never had to work a day in his life for anything.
Nope.
And it just shows how tone deaf he is to the entire situation. And even Jordan, you know, I respect Jim Brown a lot. You know, Jim Brown obviously walked away from the Browns after I think 7 or 8 seasons. And then he became really outspoken about a lot of topics for his community, what meant a lot to him. For Jordan, it wouldn't take much. Granted, with the whole thing when he didn't support Nat in the North Carolina election, I get it. You're playing basketball, whatever. You can kind of shrug that one off. It's not a good look, but you deal with that. Now you're in a position of power. No one can tell you this is bad. I mean, he could have came out with this with Alton Sterling, Philando Castillo, Sandra, you know. So many people. Why did this take so long for you to finally be like, this is wrong? I mean, that part bothers me the most about Jordan.
Yeah. And, and you look at the other stars in the league, you know, LeBron, he's more or less outspoken, leads the charge and social awareness, and he's usually the first guy to make a statement or express his opinion. Even retired guy, Steven Jackson, you saw him out in the forefront, leading the parade. Not the parade, the protest. Jalen Brown out, Smith, Stephen Curry. I mean, these guys are out there, and you have the owner of the Knicks in a league that is predominantly African American. It's just a bad look.
Unbelievable. And also, what just came out today was, I guess they had obviously no players, but they had a meeting about it. I'm like, dude, man, I'm honestly, this is the first time I would say I'm hoping a Donald Sterling situation just comes out with him. I welcome that. I just want him to slip one time. Just please, just slip. That's all you got to do. Slip one time. That's all it's going to take. And boom, we back in business. But on a serious note, just say something. Just come out and say we're together. That's all you got to say. Just don't even bring anything else up. We're all together. You know, it was wrong, like Matt said. We all know it was wrong. But for you to be that insensitive, man, you will never get it. Ever.
I mean, and even tying into the 80s, obviously, I want to be careful what I say here because white people might get offended by this.
Sorry, none of what.
So, Magic made them feel comfortable, right? Magic kind of de-weaponized the African-American culture to a lot of white people. But white people always go along with like, well, you know, my friend's black, or, you know, I watched Magic Johnson, you know, I watched this. And it's like, those are not tools for change. Like, could Magic have done more in his career? Maybe. I thought Magic did a lot of good. But we just see white people continually look at African Americans like they're good enough to be on my television, they're good enough to entertain me, but they're not good enough to break bread with me. They're not good enough to teach me. They're not good enough to lead this country. You know, they're not good enough to be a judge or a lawyer. I mean, we see so much of this stuff in our culture, and there are so many white owners throughout all sports. And this is where obviously Dolan, you know, old money, comes from, you know, a rich family. He doesn't get it. He never will. These people are just too far gone. Whereas I look at a guy like Jordan, he's experienced all of this. You know, before he became Michael Jordan, tell me 18-year-old Michael Jordan in North Carolina, just traveling. I mean, God forbid if he was caught with a white girl at any point during his life before he hit stardom.
Mm-hmm.
But he could have been a force of change. But white people keep on looking at black people to make this change. And no, it's not on black people to make this change. We can't tell black people to change their ways when it's our thinking. It's the problem with us. It's not a problem with anybody else. I've heard excuses about rap music, you know, talking about hoes and shooting people up and all this stuff. It's like, well, you're Johnny and Steve are listening to it. Obviously, you don't have that big of a problem. You're going to the store and buying it.
Mm-hmm.
So change your thinking, you know, white people, to everyone, change our thinking first. Let's understand that, you know, these are people. We're all humans. We're all one. And stop acting like they're only equal to you on an athletic field.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not sure. You guys seen the Django Unchained, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And the most ironic and stupidest thing I've ever heard in a movie, and I know Quentin Tarantino likes to throw stuff in there like this, but man, when he started talking about the indents in the back of the skull proving some sort of level of intelligence, like, white people think this. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
It's so bad. And I was gonna bring I gotta bring this story up. It was actually when I was working for the Mets. And you know, we were talking about Lasses Millage. I had a conversation with him or whatever. And somebody had like they would get on him because he was young. You know, he had braids at the time. And I'm gonna hear, oh yeah, you heard Lastons, he got a rap album out. I was like, okay, what did I got to do with him being a player? Yeah, he got braids. And to this day, and I'm just like, and I was young and I wasn't really, you know, whatever. Now thinking back at it, I'm like, he has a rap album, he has braids, and I'm like, oh really? So he's not. So you're saying what? He's not gonna be on the team? Like what? Because he has these things. I mean, he has, you know, my features without the hair. I'm like, what the hell? If you can play ball, you play ball. That doesn't affect you as a person. And I've seen a lot of people up here, you know, a bunch of Bills fans, and I'll hear them just say some what? We're getting arguments. I said, first of all, who's, you know, you got one guy throwing the bubble. Who else is on that team? What's 95% of your team? But your thinking is still, oh, shut up and throw the ball, shut up and dribble. But yes, you're watching them doing something you can't do. I'm like, is it a jealousy thing? Maybe I don't get it. You know, we should be past that point. And I won't say we're. It just looks bad. It irritates me, as you guys know, because I just think back about my grandparents. You know, the stuff they had to go through. You know, living in that time, you had to go to separate everything. And their lives really didn't matter. Let's say at that time, they could give a fuck less if you lived or died, or, you know, they could do whatever they wanted. You know, I'd say white people could do what they wanted. They had the privilege, you know, they knew it. And to this day, they know when they have the privilege, they know they can do to us. You can get on the phone and go, oh, a black man, he bothered me, he followed me. I could be walking the other way. The cop would come around and God knows, God forbid something happens. And that's what kind of world we live in now. You would think it would change. I don't think it's changed. It's just hidden a lot more. And it doesn't come out as much as it used to. But, you know, some people really don't care, as you can see. But back to Dolan, he should have. This right here, this was big. I really wouldn't blame any player for coming to the Knicks. For not coming to the Knicks. Kiss my ass. No.
You know, to me, it had a lot of that Jerry Jones type of feel to it,
Mm-hmm.
where the slave owner mentality, just like, I really don't care what I say. They work for me.
Mm-hmm.
So we're respectful and peaceful because I tell them to be that way. You know, that's what I got out of it. And if I'm a player, no matter what my color of my skin may be, I'm not going to that shithole.
But as usual, and what it always comes down to is the dollar sign. People follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
And what I will say, usually sports brings people together, I mean, for better or worse. among the leagues, I will say the NBA does a pretty good job as far as awareness.
Mm-hmm.
They, uh, the,
So
although they're not percentage-wise a high number of white or international players, there's never been a feeling of, you know, separation.
mhm.
It's always been inclusion, and you can look among the coaches, Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich, they've really been outspoken this week.
Oh yeah.
JJ Redick, he's 100% behind the players.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a fraternity. And tying this back to the 80s, Magic and Bird, one black player, one white player. It led to a divide way back when, and it took for both of them to come together for the better good of the league and for more or less the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's well said.
You know, what we need to do is, I mean, as hard as it may sound, we all have to come together in order to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, looting and rioting, not going to solve anything.
Not gonna solve it. I just gotta bring this up. This was actually, I gotta say, this was my actual pledge for my elementary school, and this has stuck in my head. It goes, success is me, my teachers, and my work. That way there is no hurt. When the grades come out, we all can shout, success is me, my teachers, and my work. Malcolm, Martin, Robert, and John all died for freedom to help us get strong. With books and pens and notebooks too, let's all work together to make that dream too. That right there, I mean, my principal came up with that, and we had to say it every single day. And as I look, it just comes back right now. I'm just like, wow. Everybody really has to still come together. It's no matter what. I mean, that's the one thing. This country was born on division, but it can also bring it down, and that's what it's doing right now. And I just, hopefully, for our kids' sakes, something got to change because like raising kids in this era right now, these years, everyone has to do better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when lies are said so much, it feels like they become truths.
Mm-hmm.
That really feels like we're at. I don't think people realize the history of this country. It wasn't like white people were out there stabilizing the economy in the 1700s and the 1800s, picking cotton. That wasn't white people. White people weren't building the White House. You know, all this stuff. Our country was built at the hands of, Africans that were brought over here through the brutality of the slave trade.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we keep on going forward, it's like we're just taking baby steps. Every decade, it's just a baby step. It's just a baby step. During my lifetime in the 90s, I mean, I listened to Tupac, not a Biggie fan, so sorry, New York, always rock Pac and Dr. Dre, Death Row Records, NWA, love me some NWA, but all this still, why isn't it enough? You just keep on fighting, and you see sports. A lot of people, 100 million kids play high school sports. And unless you're in some hick bum town, chances are there's going to be a lot of diversity on your team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember I played football in the 8th grade. I was the only white guy on the team. It just is what it is. But you learn acceptance once you start learning about people, keeping an open mind. And I argue a lot with a lot of people. The only way that you can actually affect change is by talking, trying to educate people on everything that's going on. Basketball by far is the best sport at doing this. I mean, the football is so far behind. It's sad. Baseball, they've just given up. You can just really see that. As long as you're cheap, they'll bring you on and do what they can with you. Hockey's non-existent, so we don't need to discuss hockey. But I admire basketball. No, basketball owners are really good, I think, for the most part, at understanding this. You take a look, all the statements that came out. 26 NBA teams issued a statement about George Floyd. Last I checked, the worst one was the Knicks. Yeah.
In the most diverse place, most diverse. Oh man, you gotta love it.
You can't make it up.
It's like athletes are the ones that don't see color because we all have one common goal to win. If we all had that same mindset, it would be much easier. But, you know, as usual, it's trying to get the most money and it's just a competition. Instead, you know, with these leagues, it's all one fraternity and it's probably going to take them to help us get together. We had to come up with a plan because the road we're taking is not it's not fruitful.
Nope.
So much so, the NBA came up with a committee for social justice. Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich is on it. David Fisdale, Stan Van Gundy, AB Bickerstaff is on there. So they got to have a good number of coaches. Doc Rivers, smart guys. They're all well articulated, and safe to say, we know it's going to lead the charge not to be the NBA.
Yeah, it's so awesome hearing stuff like that because it indicates people are listening. You know, listen. And I tell people this all the time that don't understand these situations. Your experience is not every experience. You know, I grew up in a very diverse neighborhood, you know, but you drive 10 minutes north, I mean, they would have KKK meetings there. So my experience of growing up, I mean, my best friend is half black, half Samoan, big man. He could have played in the NFL, but different story for a different day. But his grandma grew up in Arkansas. His grandfather grew up in Mississippi. And they told us when I came over for the first time, I think I was like 4 years old. She was like, Matthew, we're going to have a chat. So they educated me on what it was like. You know, I knew about the civil rights movement. I knew about the water fountains. I knew about the buses. I knew about all the stuff before they even taught it in school. And my parents were like, yeah, you need to go listen to that. You need to understand what other people go through. Not enough people do that. You have to understand just because you were told something doesn't mean it's right. But do your research, look it up, talk to people, find out what it was like for them, you know.
And like I will say, this is probably for another show, but you know, researching and all would help, but I don't think people will get it unless they actually experience it, which is the sad part. So, you know, that's probably the way it's going to be, unless people are angry, they want to be heard, and this is the result you're seeing. So, you know, I just hope there's some better days ahead.
Sure.
Speaking, oh, I'm sorry, Matt, you have something to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, to me, it's like, how can you not want to listen to these people and love the players that you see? Like, Dr. J was charismatic. I want to know more about Dr. J. Like, I want to know more about his experiences and what he's done. I mean, you know, Maurice Cheeks, very intelligent person when you listen to him talk. Like, all these guys, you know, it frustrates me because you see all these guys and you know that they're good people. You see them, but yet we still have this thought process in our head. Oh, they're dangerous. No, we're dangerous.
It's very frustrating to experience, frustrating to witness, and even more maddening to watch tone deaf people just fail to comprehend or just don't want to. So
I think it's the latter. Just don't want to. That's exactly what it is. Just no matter, and you see me there, you try to explain it in the nicest way possible, and then Leon had to check me and go, "It's not even worth it," because he knows I am with that kind of stuff. I'm like, I'm trying to get you to understand what is going on. why things are going the way they are, and then they just go off on their own little zone, and I'm just like, you know what? This is why. That's all. That's the only answer. This is
Yeah.
right.
If they don't want to know, they don't want to know. Look at the Kings
Oh God.
announcer.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure they spitted him into it, and he sure enough took it hard. Reeled him in. All lives matter. Get out of here, man.
Stupid, man.
I do love Boogie Cousins. I wanted him to be a Bull for a long time. Now with torn ACLs and torn Achilles, I mean, he can stay with the Lakers. But you know, it's just amazing when you see stuff like that. How stupid do you have to be to bite into stuff like that? You know what's going to happen. It just speaks to their intelligence, I guess. But man, it's brutal when you see stuff like that.
Oh, man. And I know they didn't like each other for a long time, but still, just zip it, man. Don't even. I guess it doesn't matter, and that's how it is these days now. You know, once 45 got in office, hate to get political, but people got brave, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna say what the fuck I want now." He's telling everybody to grab people by the pussy. I can say what the fuck I want. I'm like, man, yeah, we're in a different time now. You say what you want. I don't know how far it's gonna get you, but yeah, it's just people getting a little bit too bold now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong way to use your platform.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I'm just surprised that the callousness of people in general. Like, how can you just treat someone so callously just because they don't look like you or talk like you or act like you? I mean, I'm a cantankerous old man. I'm not afraid to admit it. I don't like loud music anymore. You know, I just want to be left alone, but I want everyone to be left alone. And no one needs to be harassed. No one needs to be pulled over by the cops. I mean, the crap that they're doing here in Phoenix is, I mean, they arrested 200 people Sunday night. Same charges for all 200 people. You know, these people are peacefully protesting. You have your looters and rioters. And it ain't the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, there's a lot of crackers in those groups of looters and rioters.
Mm-hmm.
So just to see that the peaceful protesters are getting targeted, and then you got the leader of your country supposedly tear gassing and shooting rubber pellets at people protesting so you could take a picture in front of a church with a Bible.
Upside down.
Yep.
I mean, maybe he's pointing to where he's going.
That's true. Oh man,
Man.
Just things that make you go,
Yeah, like I really hope there's better days ahead and something come on TV. Speaking of which, the NBA is coming back July 31st. 22 teams. We're going to try to have a play-in system. It sounds pretty complicated. I think the distance between the 8th and 9th spots has to be within 4 games to be determined clinched playoff berth. But they're going to play 8 games to determine the rest of the seeding between 1 and 8. So with 8 to 12 in the Western Conference is separated by 4 games. Sacramento, San Antonio, Portland,
Memphis,
and no, there's another team in there.
I don't know.
No,
That might be it.
It's funny that you speak of this because when I saw it come out, this is how bad basketball is in Chicago right now. I looked for the Bulls, and I'm like, man, do the Bulls have a chance? I was like, oh, Western Conference. Oh, shit, no Bulls. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't bother looking at it.
Dog. I mean, that's kind of where I have to be at as a Bulls fan now. It's just like, man, I know, shout out to Felipe Milicio, and he always tells me there's hope for the Bulls. You know, they got Kobe White and Lauri Markkanen. And he's selling me hope at the beginning of the year, and it's just like, oh man, this team is garbage.
You got Zach LaVine. I mean, hey. You got a base for it.
And then the distance between the 8th and 9th spots in the Eastern Conference is the Magic, even the Wizards.
Mm-hmm.
So once, that's determined 4 games, they'll end the playoffs in the season and then start the playoffs.
Yeah.
Supposed to end October 31st.
I don't like that.
October 12th. My bad. October 12th. That'll be Game 7.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. It seems like it's just like drawn out. I mean, at least like I said, as a Knicks fan, get the hell. I want the lottery to be over with so I can, complain about who the hell, they might get or the placement. I know we'll get 7th or 8th to piss me off. But yeah, just do what you were gonna do. Get the lottery done. Get the draft done in between like the playoffs somewhere. Don't drag it all the way out and make these kids wait this long to see where they're gonna, begin the next stretch of their career or the next step of their career. And I like what they're doing with the playoff setting, the play-ins, because we all know the 7 and 8. That's pretty much the 8 and 9. They pretty much put themselves out. You'll be fine, but just get everything else done, and then you can just focus on that. But we'll see how it goes. I'm just happy to have basketball coming back.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
And you're right about it being thrown out. And, like, I have 2 months to play 8 games and to play around the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're traveling anywhere.
Exactly.
You're only in one spot, and it's not even the entire league.
Exactly. Like, what's the point? Like, what are you doing?
Are they going to do the 1 through 16 seeding, or are they doing it by conference?
Conference,
yeah.
They can't get this right, can they?
No.
Neither league.
I mean, the 2 best teams, in my opinion, are the Lakers and the Clippers. I mean, ideally, I would like to see those 2 in a 7-game series. I know it's LA, and that could make people nauseated, but Milwaukee's good, but I don't think they're as deep as the Clippers. I don't think they can win that series, but it almost feels like it's destined to be. Yeah, I don't know about Milwaukee now with having this much time off. Giannis may have to do some Superman stuff.
Gotta learn how to shoot.
I mean,
go a long way for his game.
Mm-hmm. He's the one player in the league. If he gathers a jump shot, game over. He's winning like LeBron MVP.
Well, Ben Simmons too. If Ben Simmons had a jump shot,
yeah, but I don't. What do you practice? I never got it. I've never seen somebody like a team celebrate like they did when and of course his first 3 of his career was against the Knicks, but he hit that 3. You would have thought they wanted to. I mean, he did a Kawhi Leonard shot when he bouncing in and they celebrating. Come on, he still can't shoot for shit. What good are you? How are you supposed to take that next step? Like, he's Magic Johnson. Like, he basically be a Magic Johnson because he can facilitate. He can get to the rim. His playmaking skills are good. But Magic can shoot the ball. Even with his ugly ass, whatever the hell push shot he kind of had.
Form was
ugly.
Yeah.
But it was super ugly. I'm getting my Jay-Z voice. But damn. Ben Simmons, I really hope he's practicing, doing something. But that's another thing you got to worry about. What kind of conditioning these guys are going to be and how much time they need to get ready to do it. And it's going to be really weird. But they want to get it done, so we'll see.
I mean, honestly, I think this helps out LeBron immensely because, I mean, he's older and you just gave him a rest for 3 months, 4 months. I'll be surprised if the Lakers don't win this thing.
Yeah, I would actually like to see him win it for Kobe. That would be cool to see. Just the narrative and just after what happened and for them to win it would be.
If they win it, I got to kick Randy off my podcast.
Oh, man. That's a party. Party like it's 1999.
He's going to be wearing his Lakers jersey on a football podcast. He's going to be talking about the Lakers on a football podcast. He's going to be on your guys' podcast. He's going to be on the baseball podcast. And he ain't going to talk about any sports. He's going to be talking about the Lakers winning the championship.
But you know the beautiful thing about running these podcasts? The mute button.
That's right. Randy doesn't host the podcast for us. So, but no, in all seriousness, Randy's one of the best dudes you could ask for. Really great guy. So I'm just busting his chops.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
But,
Love having him on.
Yeah, same here. But you know who also gave 3 months off to? Kevin Durant.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, stop it.
Kyrie Irving.
They'll get mad
Brooklyn
at somebody and start complaining. Y'all make Brooklyn look bad. I'm embarrassed to say I'm from Brooklyn.
How's Kevin Durant going to shoot the ball when Kyrie's always shooting it?
Oh no, he'll pass it. He'll pass to Kevin. He knows the hierarchy.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, who's coaching though? Tyronn Lue? He coming on? Who you got?
They coach themselves.
Kyrie or Juan, he'll be on the bench pouting. First loss, he'll be complaining about something. Yeah. But yeah, the Nets they're gonna be a wild card. If he's healthy enough to play, I think they can make a little run.
Yeah, I think they're the biggest wild card.
Yeah, you gave a lot of teams time to rest up. But yeah, evidently I can see 3 teams: Milwaukee, the Lakers, and the Clippers. It's
no one in the West else is a threat, you think? Denver.
I always want to give Denver the benefit of the doubt, but they cannot win the big game. For some reason, they just can't get over that hump with that lineup. Murray, Harris, Porter Jr., well, he comes off the bench, but Jokic, Millsap. I'm like, they have a legit 5. With the bench is not as strong with Beasley going to Minnesota and Hernan Gomez. But still, they're a talented team, and you're just like, why can't you ever get over the hump?
I just thought you have a team. It was New Orleans.
There you go. Don't forget about OKC, too. OKC?
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Wants New Orleans in the playoffs first way. They get in. I mean, they might give the Lakers some trouble, but I don't see Memphis holding that 8th spot. I see Portland jumping them.
Yeah, I would rather see Portland jump them, to be honest, because Memphis is they're too raw. They don't really. Jackson, I mean, he barely can shoot as it is. He's still finding out his game. Morant is he's a rookie of the year. He's doing this thing, but anything. Oh, they have the other guy, Valanciunas.
Valanciunas?
Yeah, they have him, but it's not enough. But I'd rather definitely see Portland take that 8th and let Dame and CJ go nuts in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Zion or Ja do some stuff in the playoffs.
Well, yeah. I'll say that Pelicans team is fun to watch, man. Good.
Yeah.
I just want to see Brandon Ingram and like Lonzo get their revenge against LeBron and just like take them out. But I don't think it's going to happen, but it'll be exciting to see, next month.
Absolutely. With Lonzo taking that step forward, his jumper looking a lot better. I don't know.
He booted his dad to the curb, so.
Covered his ugly ass niggas. That a boy.
Those things were so bad.
I don't, man. And he was just praising them like they were the next coming to Jordan sneakers. You sit your ass down, throw that all in the garbage.
That brings up, you guys get the first pick. Are you drafting Ball?
He's growing on me, to be honest. I would rather have Anthony Edwards or Wiseman, but we need the playmaker, and his shot can be fixed. If they can fix his brother's shot, LaMelo's can be fixed. And you can't really teach playmaking ability like he has. I don't think he'll be taking those dumb Steph Curry shots like he was in high school and in Australia. I mean, I would take him. We need a point. Either him or Cole Anthony in my, but Cole is not going that high. But I think,
I don't think so either.
Even though he's a UNC guy and Leon knows my loathing of North Carolina. You know, Jordan, yeah, whatever.
The last I heard, the Knicks were picking 7, right?
Yeah, they probably will.
Yeah,
That's
Ball's
what I
going
said.
1, so he probably might
Yeah,
be Cole Anthony range.
Yeah, I can see Cole Anthony, you know, New York kid coming
I mean,
home.
Ball's coming to Chicago, so it just makes sense.
That's fine. That's fine. You can take his dad.
No. We don't want his dad. I mean,
Now he gotta go with you. He gonna speak it to. But I can say this now. He might speak it into existence because he really wants this kid in New York. He wants that.
no.
He get it with Lonzo. Why
I
not?
mean, that'd be such a bad combination with Dolan and Lamar.
Oh man,
That was what would happen.
That might drive Dolan. Do it. Draft Lamelo. Draft him right now. Get it done right now. Put the cards in. Drive Dolan crazy. Yes. That might be our out.
Knowing them, they'll probably trade all the picks for like some aging star like Chris Paul.
Yeah, they probably will.
No, they would have to sign a 4 that's undersized that can't shoot.
Another Julius Randle spin move.
That's a spin cycle.
Got to pay somebody.
That's true. Spin cycle. Oh God. Why?
We forgot to touch on it last week. Passing of Jerry Sloan,
Yes.
longtime Utah Jazz coach.
Great coach.
Yeah, hard luck loser. You know, fell victim to Jordan. Stockton Malone, last person to give Jeremy Williams some heart. You know, and yesterday, long time, was it Bullet Center, Wes Unseld.
Kevin Love's a godfather. The best outlet passes you ever see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, really good. He was excellent.
That's it seems like everybody dropping over 2020, man.
Man, just this year's trash, man. Just throw it all away.
The word. Start the new one. With some sports.
Coming soon.
Oh,
You know, this has really been a fun episode.
absolutely.
Man, I really enjoyed having you on. Jacob, as always, good stuff. You guys have any parting words to close us out with?
Absolutely. Matt, thank you for coming on. It's been great. I mean, he's really for the cause. I feel like I gained a brother, to be honest. I mean, it's been awesome. And also, shout out to Felipe, our brother, and Roz. Congratulations on your little girl. She's beautiful, looking healthy. Congratulations to you guys. And you'll be great parents.
Leon and Jacob, thank you for having me. It's been an honor. I finally get to show a little bit of my basketball knowledge, going back to the 80s.
I brought it to the
Yeah, this is more than us. I mean,
it's because I'm ancient. But no, man, this has been a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to kind of spread my wings a little bit and talk some different sports other than football. So it's been great. And Jacob, Leon, I feel the same way, man. You guys are like family to me. You guys need anything? Would love to have you guys on the Audible at some point. You know, Randy and I need to start booking guests, so be on the lookout for that. I know Leon's a tortured Detroit Lion fan, so I have plenty to rip him on that.
oh, I got a rant ready for you.
Oh, yeah.
You guys did good in the draft. You got Jeff Okuda.
Yeah, but you know, Okuda's good. I like their fact they picked up. Johnson's gonna get hurt by week 2, so
He'll retire in 2 years.
yeah, I got a whole rant ready for you.
I can't really talk, so
Yeah, I know you're a Jets fan, so
we got an O-line now. Yeah. Excitement.
keep Sam Darnold away from those thoughts.
That's fine. Those ghosts too, man. He gotta get it out of here. But he'll be okay. If he stays upright, he'll be good. I don't know who he's throwing to, but he'll be good. But it'll be good to go on the show. I mean,
Yeah, I would love to have you guys on. I think it would be fantastic. It'd be a good talk. So, but yeah, thanks again for having me. And man, it's been a blast.
absolutely.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Catch the Audible. What's the next time we catch the Audible?
This Friday, airing at, see, I have to convert to Eastern time because I'm on Pacific time right now. So 4:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Catch that.
Catch that, man. They're good stuff. And to anyone listening, thanks for tuning in. Thank you guys for your time. And until next time, ball out.
Sir.